Well, it's now time for us to do business on Midday Live on Saturday. My name is Solis Rose Quarte. Let's start off from the stock market, where trading on the Ghana Stock Exchange for the week ended with its key benchmark index inching up by 0.4 basis points to close the week a year-to-date loss of minus 10.92%. Total worth of listed companies stood at 54.3 billion Ghana cedis.
Total traded shares went up by 1,943% following the exchange of 5.6 million shares, which was valued at 10.8 million cedis, an increase of 2,136% compared to last week. Enterprise Group Limited recorded the highest traded shares in the week after contributing 3,218,300 of total traded shares, representing 57%. Gainers for the week were Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, appreciating 5.56% in value, and Farm Milk 4.29%.
ATI has some agreement with Old Mutual and they provide some bank assurance, but they have expanded that agreement so that it's going to include some asset management from the Old Mutual group. So I think that investors may be seeing that it could also bring some good returns to the equity. So people may be looking at taking their positions, and that could have led to the price appreciation for ATI.
Losers for the week were Standard Chartered Bank, losing minus 5.54% of its value, Ecobank Ghana Limited minus 1.77%, Societe Generale Ghana minus 1.30%, and Cal Bank minus 1.23%.
Now let's do some other stories. And the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, is asking government to take a second look at the tax build-up component on utility tariffs. This follows complaints of high electricity cost by members of the association who say they can no longer afford it.
According to the AGI, members are paying more than the agreed utility tariffs announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission in December 2015. There are fears the tariffs are forcing many of the firms to either downsize or close down their businesses. The Chief Executive Officer of the association, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, said the increments as shown by some members ranges between 350 and 790%. He says government must intervene in the situation.
We think that the tax component, the energy charge, is very high. If you put it together, it's more than 27%, the taxes alone. And we think that at this particular moment, when industries are struggling, we should look at the tax component, and we should not deny the utility companies of the needed funds to do the business, so we can be sure of reliable supply. However, the tax element it's not part of the actual generation, and therefore that has to be looked at.
Well, according to some of the industry players, high tariffs are making them produce low-quality products since they could not pass on the utility costs to their customers. Mr. Kwabwa, however, welcomed the Energy Ministry's decision to establish a task force that will monitor and audit metering systems of both domestic and commercial users.
Part of the complaints from our members was that they've had challenges with the way the billing is done. And it's one of the major reasons why we had this discussion, that they should bring their bills because they didn't have understanding of it. And I think it's been acknowledged that there's probably something wrong with the metering process. That's why we've heard the minister saying that they are coming up with a task force to monitor the metering and be sure that everything is in place.
And finally, the Ghana Standards Authority will introduce a flow metering system to replace the dipstick in the petroleum industry. The move is to ensure accuracy and sanity in the industry.
The dipstick is a measuring instrument used by bulk oil distributors and retailers in the petroleum industry to measure the quantity of fuel being sold by producers to retailers. The instrument is manually dipped into the tankers to check the quantity of liters or gallons of loaded into a tanker. Since the mechanism has no fixed calibration system, figures recorded mostly do not reflect the actual quantity of loaded, thus creating loads of controversy between retailers and distributors. At the 2016 World Metrology Day ceremony in Accra, the Ghana Standards Authority said the flow metering system which has a well-calibrated measurement, will be introduced to standardize operations in the petroleum sector.
Not everyone at the station has got flow meter. And even those who have got the flow meters, there have been an issue of the quality of the flow meter. The flow meter ideally will have to go through 6-month cycle for calibration. But in between, anything can happen. And now there will be a dispute between the tanker who is delivering the thing and the retailer at the place. So that we want to iron that thing out.
She added that all pressure gauges and thermometers which are fixed on LPG retail outlets, vulcanizing machines and oil and fuel production ports will be verified for safety and accuracy in measurements. The Deputy Executive Director, Core Services, Elizabeth H. Adetola, also hinted the verification of gross mass of containers will begin on July 1, 2016.
We're going to start about doing the verification of the vulcanizers. We've just got the instruments in place. The amendment to the Solas Convention, which is Safe of Life at Sea, which is saying that before any container is exported out of this country, the container must have a verified gross mass. It's a global thing, it is mandatory. So we are putting in measures to do that.
The Ministry of Trade and Industry asked stakeholders to ensure the science of accurate measurement is taken seriously in the country because it affects decision making.
Well, that's all for business news here on Midday Live on TV3. My name is Solis Rose Quarte.